Okay, all right. So we have everybody together for what, by the way, I think is going to be the last Late Egyptian session for 2023, to be continued in January next year. But I think we'll take a 2-week break with holidays coming up for everybody and probably lots of travel. So yeah, and today's going to be a little bit different because I didn't prepare any slides. I think we're at the level now where we should just go directly into the text, although there will be more homework in the future. But today I'd propose, why don't we just go over chapter 13 together, see what we're making out of the things that he's stating, and especially of the example sentences, and parse them, for example, just to make sure that we get all the grammar in there, would be my proposal. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to read it. Busy times right now, year end, totally understand that. So should we just step through the text together, or any particular questions that anybody wants to raise? If no, then I would say let's just go straight into it. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna put you all. Okay. So infinitive, not completely new. We've already seen it before. Essentially, it's been a core component of most verb forms that we've seen. Like, for example, the first present, tui chersegem, I upon hearing. In other words, I'm hearing, or simply I hear. That's the infinitive in there. You have it in the third future, ui chersegem, I'm going to hear. Again, that is ui plus preposition are plus then the infinitive again. Where else have we seen it? It's in the subjunctive, which we've had quite a few times in example sentences, and that I hear or something. That one uses the infinitive. So it's used to build a lot of verbal forms. There's going to be more of those. Essentially, so much so that in Coptic, you throw all the old verbal forms out of the window, and you essentially have auxiliary helping verbs left, which then get combined either with the infinitive or with the stative, which we're going to encounter in the next session in January. So it's super common. What Neveu talks about in this chapter is primarily what do you do with the infinitive itself. So not in combination with some kind of auxiliary verb or converter, but what you do with it when you just use it in a sentence by itself. That's his main topic. Formally, the infinitive, well, of the weak verbs, the ones that end in a weak radical, primarily in a reed leaf, they get a T in Middle Egyptian and Classical Egyptian. And often you see that T retained in Late Egyptian, or at least it comes out again when there is a suffix pronoun following. So we had that a few times, like for example, gemi would be to find, written with that flamingo-like bird, or ibis, I guess it is. Not a flamingo. So in any case, so gemi, normally spelled GM, plus the bird there in front. So that one would not necessarily show the final T, but as soon as you put something behind it, like for example, to find him, gemtuf, then you suddenly see like a T, or more commonly you see a TW to essentially indicate that that T is still being pronounced. I'm not sure. I think everybody has seen that. Don't need to show it, or do I? I see shaking heads. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, doke. Then I'll just go on. So basically, formally, it either just looks for normal verbs, it may just look like the base form of the verb. And for weak verbs, it will have the extra T in there, at least when there's a suffix following. There are some interesting exceptions to that. Sometimes they glue that T onto infinitives which didn't have it in Middle Egyptian. So it's basically part of that whole weakening of the formal morphology. Maybe because there is an extra vowel at the end. Maybe because just by analogy, you have it in other words. And eventually this TW plus suffix pronoun becomes like its own pronoun that could be put onto different verbs that never had a T in the infinitive in the first place. It's just something in analogy that people do. Okay. What else? What else does he have? Negation of the infinitive is with tem. So it's not with bun, it's not with bu, it's not with any of the other negative markers, it's with tem. So to not do, to not hear would be tem segem. You can sometimes negate the whole sentence with bun or with bu or something like this. But if you want to specifically negate the infinitive, like "you're not doing has caused me a lot of woe" or whatever, that would be term in that case. So let's see what else. Infinitives are very commonly used with 4 literal verbs. So any verbs that have 4 or more radicals, it looks like they're very unwieldy, and as a result, they like to use the infinitive with helping with an auxiliary, with an iri, essentially to make it simpler. So you basically conjugate the iri, and then use just the infinitive. And that's a bit like, for example, it would be pretty, prettier in English, and let's see, what else do we have? Nice, nicer. So with simple adjectives, you would just basically change the ending or add an ending. But then when you come to more complex or foreign words like prosperous, it wouldn't be prosperouser, it would be more prosperous. And they sort of do the same thing here, where they essentially, when you have like a longer verb, you just basically don't try to conjugate anymore, but you conjugate the auxiliary. So that's something you'll see a lot. And I think that gives rise to more and more of those quasi-analytical verb formations where you use some form of iri plus an infinitive instead of trying to conjugate the verb itself. So that's a process that we can see in full swing. Okie doke. Then he talks a bit about, we're going to be on examples in a moment. He talks a bit about how do you indicate the doer. In Middle Egyptian, you can just glue a suffix pronoun on it, I think. Those of you who are more firm in Middle Egyptian than I am can correct me, but I think it's something like Sejemef. His hearing could be basically hearing him, like the F is the object, or it could be his hearing, the fact that he hears. That's how you do it in Middle Egyptian. Late Egyptian doesn't do that anymore. So basically, you can use Sejemef to indicate his hearing, the fact that basically somebody hears him, but it wouldn't be the subject. If you want to put a subject on there are several ways how you can do it. You can stick a perfect relative on there. So form of iri. So you would basically say something like Sejim irief, the hearing that he has done. Or there is also an older form where you still use the ir nf, that is a perfect relative, a carryover hanging on from Middle Egyptian. You can find that too. That's like more classical. This here's the more common form. So that's one way how you can put a subject after an infinitive. You just basically stick a relative after it. And Neveu says that basically makes the whole thing perfective. It's something that has already happened. I'll skip this because we just talked about that, all the different verb forms. Unfortunately, in the PDF version, I think most of us have the paper version. That's where you can see all the beautiful papyrus clips in there. Unfortunately, the PDF version doesn't have that. Ah, well. Okay, so here we're on the first example. Before we go to the other way, how to put a subject. Well, there are 2 more, actually, how to put a subject on there. And I was thinking maybe I could just ask one of you to parse through the sentence. I'm not going to cover it because it's just a pain to do with the PDF. So maybe we do it differently from normally. If somebody wanted to just take the sentence and quickly pass through it and basically indicate what's going on here, I think that could be a good way. Any volunteers? Anybody who had a chance to look at them? Jeopardy music playing?
Sure.
All right.
But, not entirely sure what you mean by like just go through and explain every part.
Pretty much. I mean, not the super obvious
Right.
one. I mean, if you can ignore the transcription underneath, you could just try to read it directly and use it for hints. I mean, whichever way you want to do it.
I mean, it's pretty obviously just underneath, so it's a bit silly.
I still need help though, Erin. So regard yourself as talking ET to an idiot.
Right, but it make like I can if I try to read the sentence now, it'll be impossible for me to ignore the fact that the transcription is right underneath. So,
I could be mean, you know. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, go on, be mean. I won't look.
If you so desire, hang on. Wait, where is it?
I mean, if I'm trying to, practice anything, I see. Okay.
And then we become an office away.
All right, so Hesebet 29. Arbeit, shit, I know half of this by heart now. Arbeit 2. Peret 10. How's it read again?
Yeah.
Pen? No, wait. Yeah. Pen. So that's a date. So 29th regnal year, second month of the season of Peret, which one day I'll remember which one it is.
Isn't that when the seed comes out of the ground? Winter season, they said.
No,
is it spring?
I think emergence has something with Shema, has that particular sign.
Because pre means to come forth. So could it be that?
That's where my association came from. But let's fix that after the sentence. Let's take a quick look at that again.
Okay. Of that, so second day of that season, second month of that season, and the 10th day. Right. So
and there is a Su in there, I should say that. The Peret, there should be like 2 Ras there, one for the Peret for the season and one for Sumit for day 10. But he only wrote one. Whoever wrote it. Yeah. Excuse me.
Right, so it continues in Sesh, Iran, and Sen. Oh, I thought that was a sh.
It is, and I think I forgot who explained it. It's a graphical kind of confusion.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that the thing that got mixed up. All right, and Sen Iran ta iset ta in bu.
Very good.
That's all determinatives. Her payu. Dio, I think.
Yeah, that is correct. Very good.
Dio. Yeah. All right. Okay. So they say winter season. Not sure. All right. This day when the war. So our infinite. So we've got the Iran. There. And Sen must be the infinitive to go with that.
Very good.
I think, but I have to cheat for the meaning. So that's cross. So this day of the crossing, in a way. Ta iset ta in, but okay, ta in, but are the walls her by you because of their rations, okay. And Iset is the crew. All right, so yeah, we have the infinitive, which we could say is being used as a kind of noun here. The day of the crossing, the infinitive plus Iren construction makes it perfective, and the rest is, the crew who are crossing, and then the agent is put afterwards. Tai said. So the crossing of the crew.
That's right.
That the crew did. Yeah.
And the walls in question, I think, or walls are also guard posts. The inhibit that refers to, I would guess, that refers probably to those posts around Deir el-Medina. Although I'm not 100% sure, but you see it there a lot in the Deir el-Medina Ostaka, or also the strike papyrus, that whenever they march out to demand their rations and do a sit-in like at one of the nearby monuments, they first have to cross the perimeter of the place where they're normally at, building basically the new tombs in the Valley of the Kings. So basically, long story short, there's multiple entries like that. On XYZ date, the work crew basically crossing the perimeter and then doing something. And I think it would fit here too, without knowing that particular example, just because of that purpose clause at the end, her paidiu because of their because of their rations. So that could be one of those labor things, if I'm not mistaken. Would have to look up the particular text
Makes
of
sense.
that. But no, you had it perfect. So there's the infinitive, the day of the crossing, made by the crew, basically. So throwing the whole thing into a perfect aspect. And then you can still glue a direct object after it, which is interesting. So the infinitive still has that power. In English, we have to put off, like the crossing of the river or something. But in Egyptian, you can still say the crossing the river, so to say, because even though it's a noun, it can still take a direct object, which is a nice thing to note. So yeah, that's it. I think you had it. Yeah. Any questions on this one? Oh, okay. I would say great start. And you see the infinitive used that way a lot into, like, I would almost call them in diary entries, where you have every day you have like an entry, or not every day, but every significant date you have an entry of what happened that day. We got that much in grain. This day there was a dispute between the foreman and the workers. This day, blah blah blah. And I think that it would fit into those kind of lists very well, almost like our diary entries as well. What people tend to abbreviate there. Okay. Here's another example, which is almost the same, but with the exception that the irien relative is replaced by iru. So in this case, it's not the Middle Egyptian form, but it's something more late Egyptian. But the way it works, it's the same. Does somebody want to take it, or should I walk through it?
I could try. I'm a little bit rusty with this, but I'm maybe with some help. That's all right with everyone.
Okay. Awesome.
Sure. So Hesbet, then there's 5, Abed. So it's the same pattern as before. So it's saying it's the 5th year. Actually, if you could cover it up again, because I want to make sure I'm doing the same thing without cheating. It's hard not to. So, okay. So I've also seen like that sign in Middle Egyptian is like Renpet, or something. So maybe Renepet or something. So I wonder if that changes the word for like regnal year versus year. But
it's a lot of debate on that, honestly.
Okay.
So there are multiple different proposals out there, and I think Neveu goes by Hesped. Let me cheat a little bit and check. Yes, he has Hesped.
Okay.
But you do find different transcriptions in the literature, and it has changed. I think
is that
is fairly common
with the sign.
Sorry,
is that the problem with the sign? Just not only having the bread loaf T on the end being the only phonetic complement, so you kind of best guess of what it represents.
Exactly. Okay. We know that, but it just means. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
It just means regnal year, like year, right? Okay. Cool. Okay. So Hespet 5, Abed 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is Shere, or
should be Shemu, I think. Yeah.
Shemu. Okay, got
it's
it.
It's an abbreviated version.
And the determinative is of the sun is not pronounced. It's just saying it's a month. It's year, month, day.
It could be. Although one thing that happens after the season, you normally get the day, and the day is Su.
Okay, so it's year, day, and then month.
Actually, it's year, Chespet Diu, Apet 2, so month 4.
Month
then
4.
Comes the season.
Oh, and then it's day 10. Because the 10 is on the side.
Right.
Okay. Or
Almost.
no, not 10. Oh, okay, almost got it. Sorry, number the numbers. Thank you for guys to be patient. So 10, 6. Yeah, so 16.
You
So
got it.
day 16 math. Sorry. Okay. So day 16, there's a determinative and n triliteral there.
Read this thing.
It has oo on the end. I'm forgetting that, Cliff, unfortunately.
No worries. So this sign here, uj, you see it a lot in the word for to command, uj. But uji is a different
The dual.
verb.
Okay. Uji
Uji is to depart.
to depart. Okay. With the determinative being the legs for motion. Okay.
That's right.
Uji, iru,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a W there for some reason.
It's tricky to W or not to W. You missed the initial session, so you often see it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It could be no. I mean, it's just so that one is one of the things that we discussed early on. Do you put them? Don't you put them? In this case, I would probably just put like I would pronounce this one. That would be like an E, ir.
Right.
This could be. It could be a vowel
iru, or it could be ear, just with the silent W, just an older spelling. Or is that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, I think what I would do is for the first one, this here is something you see in the relative forms and you see it in the imperative and the second, the so-called pathetic yod. And then the verb itself is ir. And I think what Neveu does is he spells them like this, iri. Could you spell that iru question mark? Maybe, I don't know. It's basically a question, do you believe that W? What does it mean? Is it a vowel indicator? Is it really a semi-consonant that indicates like some kind of glide? I think we don't know this yet, which would be nice.
This is the periphrastic sort of construction with the infinitive plus the auxiliary verb iri, right? That you're just talking about.
Sort of, yeah. It's basically a relative. That has done. Of course, the next question is who, and I'll give you a clue there because it's from Wennemund. So the W here is just an abbreviation for Wennemund. So Uji, Ire, or Iru, who knows? Wennemund.
Okay. Then R or in ta chet. Chet.
That's right.
And pa ui wedget.
Almost.
We are boat, right? Okay.
That's right. Very good.
And then that like in ma'at, right? Ma'at, and then or is that the god ma'at? No.
It isn't, no.
No,
it's
okay.
The adjective "a," which lives on in compounds in Coptic as "o," like in Pero in King.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. So psi or C, SY.
This thing here is red Shepis, though. Noble. You find that a lot. Oops.
Let's see.
You find that a lot in tomb inscriptions too. It just means noble.
Noble, okay. Shepet. So Shepet S. So like it maybe it's nobility or something. And is that Y, is that pronounced or is that part of the determinative?
This guy here?
The slashes before the abstract scroll.
Hang on, you mean which one?
Oh, the slashes above the abstraction mark, the scroll.
I wonder, I mean, obviously there was something there, right? So presumably it was something like Shepese or Shapese or something like that.
Right.
Did you describe it? Let me take a look. He does.
Sorry.
He does.
Okay. So it's phonetic.
Shepese.
Shepese. Okay. And then there's the terminative, and then men, or sorry, men. So Amun Ray.
Perfect. Very good.
And then Nesut or Nesu, because you don't pronounce the tav. Necheru because it's plural gods. Okay. That was a little rough. Thank you guys for being patient with me on that.
You're doing very well.
Like lesson 7, and then I didn't have time to watch the rest. I'm gonna get there sometime. So great.
I thought you did awesome, so no worries there at all.
Thank you. So I can parse a little bit of it. I'll take up too much of your time. So we already have like year 5 and then month 4 and then day 16. And let's see. So when, and then pen, it's saying in the transcription is abbreviated, it's not written out. So this, meaning this day on which really of ja iri or of the coming forth of ja.
The departing.
Departing when oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It should really say Uji in the transcription. I'm not sure why I never left that out. That surprises me a
Uji.
bit.
Oh no, it says Uji. It doesn't say pen. Pen is in parentheses for this or okay. Of the departure or of the going out to or of or for our air for those going or in is like coming or going, right?
Oh, so, hey, ine is to bring. You're thinking
bringing, okay.
You're thinking of E, but ine is
E, yes, that's right. Because it's legs carrying something. Okay.
Right.
Bringing something. Okay.
The one you're thinking of course is E, which looks kind of similar, but what's going on here?
I see it also has legs. That's a different sign on top.
It has legs, so
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And het is a thing, or like sort of a general word for
this one here.
Race.
Let's cheat on this one because
go ahead. Sure.
Het is wood, lives on as
shade. Wood. Okay.
But Jedhead, and I wouldn't have been able to tell you that, apparently is timber, is a word for timber.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it seems to be feminine, as indicated by the feminine article. So Ine Jedhead, or probably Jedhead.
And they bringing timber to the ship or for the ship.
That's right.
Or literally of the ship, I guess. But of the ship, the great ship. Oh, dative. Okay, so 2 or 4. So for the ship of, and it's the direct genitive here, I think, of the noble or the great and noble, just looked up the transcription, translation, great and noble ship or bark of Amun-Ra, king of the gods. So Senu and Cheru. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
No, you're good. You're good. But I think you have it. So basically, like you said, regular year 5, month 4 of the season of Shemu, day 16, the day that, or the day off, I should say, the day of departure made by Wenamun. So this is the key core grammar point here, Iiru or Iiri Wenamun, which basically is the relative that says so the departing made by Wenamun, in other words, the day of the departure of Wenamun. And then, like you said, to bring the timber for the barge, or bark, whatever, for the bark, not any bark, but the great and noble bark of Amun-Re and Sunshure, the king of the gods. Yeah, very well done. So his key grammar point there was essentially, if you want to indicate the who did it in such a construction, you use the relative. Okay. Cool. Thanks much. Hang on, let me go full screen again. Looking at the clock, we're doing fine. The other way, well, there are 2 more ways, I should say, how to do it. Sorry. Application is on strike. It has walked off the perimeter wall. Hello? Okay, spinning beach ball is done. The other way, which he says is imperfective, let's look at a few examples in a moment. The other way is na. Hello. It's basically using in. That's familiar, I think, from Middle Egyptian. You can just use the preposition in. Hang on. So I'll just go through this one real quick because it's kind of boring now. It's the same structure. Respite Jude Psit. So regnal year 29. Abit now, I guess, second month or month number 2. Peret, season of Peret. Su Bet, day 10. Chau Pen, that day or this day. Senta Tatiu Inbe, in Pacher Intais. So in this case, we have this day of what? There's no N in this case, no second N at least, of the passing of what? Or passing what? Passing ta diu, the 5 what? The 5 inbet or inbu, the 5 guard posts, same word we had before, and pacher of the tomb. And here comes the interesting part, inta is by the crew. So in this case, we just use in and stick the agent behind that. I think that in is something you'll see a lot in Middle Egyptian, a common way to indicate the actor, and you can use it here too for the infinitive. And the same thing, I think, next example, E in, well, they say sesh here, so let's go with it. So the coming, in, by, sesh, and then comes the name, Nashui, that's the whole name here. Nashui erges pamer entity. So literally to the side or near pamer. Mer is pyramid, and you would just wish that this somehow had survived into Coptic. This has not. There is just no single text that makes a reference to the pyramids that I know of, which is kind of absolutely annoying. You would think they, at least not with an Egyptian word. I'm not sure if they're ever referred to by a Greek word or by maybe later in Arabic. I mean, you would think so, right? Couple of big stone structures sitting right there in plain view, you would think that would create some attention. But in any case, the word does not survive in Coptic. It was mer in early Egyptian. So the pyramid of Teti. So what's the interesting part here grammatically? The coming, again, infinitive, and then you put the actor there by in. Okie doke. Because you don't need to have an actor. You can just have, for example, werish is a word that means to spend. Spend time, more specifically. So werish seten in his place. You don't have to specify who the actor is, but you can do one of those two things. Or there's a third way you can use. You can stick the possessive article in front. So, for example, paif werish, his spending of the day. And I think you're going to see some examples of that in a moment. It's later in the chapter. Okay. What else? Let me see. What's the grammar point in the next one? A clause can have an infinitive as a predicate. Well, that's not surprising, right? That's common in many languages. I cannot imagine to see him there. I don't know. Dumb example, but you see what I'm saying. Like you can just stick an infinitive there as the object of what I cannot imagine. You can do the same thing in Egyptian. Anybody want to try this one real quick? That's from the Kadesh inscription, basically referring what happened during the war against Kadesh.
Go.
Nobody else.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Want me to cover that up or leave it?
Yes, please.
All right. I was looking at Jeopardy the other day, the online version, and they give you multiple choice answers to pick from. It's like, my oh my, what's the fun in that? I don't get it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they give you like 3 answers to pick from. That's not really hard, is it? Let's see if I can get it there somehow. All right. I hope that works.
Mhm. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so we have Iu, Burech, Nawi,
Very good.
Nesh Chasut, Hanan, Nawi.
What did you? Oh, Hasid. Okay, all right. Let's talk about that in a moment. Yeah, Chena Nai. Yeah, and forgive me.
Hanan, Nawi, where Semeru. I think that's Semeru. The guy with the stick, or is it Weru? It's probably Weru.
It's just part
Oh
of
yeah, that's part of the that's the determinative for it, right?
Right.
Weru. And then we have Jed. It looks like a wave of water. So I'm on my phone, so you guys excuse me. Let me enlarge it here for myself. There we go. All right, so we have Jed in Sut. That's you.
That's right. Perfect.
You.
You got it.
I can see it. And now we have, let's see, so the circumstantial. So Burech, not without. Yeah, so this is one of our negations. So they, nai, my, our, without knowing. Okay, so now. Nai, without knowing. And then Nesu, so wait, Nai, I need to look at this. So that's my chiefs or something. Yeah, chiefs.
Yeah, that's right. So it's really Imira, I think, which then gets spelled as a tongue because it's that age-old pun that
it's the Imira.
Yeah, exactly. And for some reason, he transcribes it at Mer here, but yeah, I think it's that. So it's my Imira Chasud, my like my overseers of the countries, which I guess my chiefs of foreign countries, that would work.
Mir Chasset. Mir. Together with my elders, or together with the elders, together with my elders. Right. I'm saying, or officials, maybe
great ones.
Great ones. Okay. Say to them, say to us.
That's right.
Come. What's this? Say to us. Set, they come.
That's right. There's a break here between. So Jed Nen is say to us, and Set Iu is they have come.
They have come. Okay.
We haven't encountered it yet, but that's a stative, I think, the Iu at the end.
I've never seen this Mir Chasset like that before.
Me neither. That was a first. But have to look it up what kind of title that is in the 19th dynasty. But seems to be. I mean, the whole thing refers to, I think, the enemy making a surprise attack, if I remember this correctly. And so basically, I mean, as you would infer from the sentence as well, it looks like that nobody who was in charge was able to actually say that yep, they're already here. So basically, I think that's what the message here is. Let's look at the grammar real quick. So burech, not knowing, like you had, or not being able to say is another way, because to rech, how to do something in an Egyptian, is to know how to do or to be able to do it. So how does that tie in with the whole thing he was saying? Oh yes, jed is an infinitive. So burech jed, not being able to say. To whom? Nen, to us. And then comes whatever you're saying. So yeah, that's really all it is. Well done. Any questions on that one?
I see it's still popping up in late Egyptian. And I also noticed pen, the demonstrative pen popped up as well. So
that is really interesting. Great point. So you only see it with they, I think. Which is basically a fixed. No. Ha. Wait, let me think about this. Yes, it is, because Pahau would be, or Pajero would be today, and Jeropen is this day. So that's like one special carryover where there's a distinction between the old demonstrative and the new demonstrative, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
Instead of using the conjunctive here, they use hina, nayu.
Say that again, I missed it. Oh, the nayu.
And they instead of hina together with or with, along with.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm saying normally late Egyptian, we don't, hina doesn't pop up a lot, right?
Oh, it still does, but you're right. There are three words for with. One is the classical hana, but that still occurs. Then there is the thing that later becomes min or nim, depending on Coptic dialect, nim, which is spelled like irim in group writing. That's the one you're probably thinking of. And there's another one, md, which also means with. All three mean with. And if you look in Cherney Groll, he has some indications which one is used when. You cannot use all in all three cases, but I can't remember right now for the life of me what the difference was. Like, when do you use what? I honestly forgot, but there are definitely three different ways how to say with, Chana being one of them.
They can also be used as and sometimes, or some of them can, right? Like hana together with, usually translated as and, less literally, I guess.
Right, indeed. And I mean, there's of course always the fourth option, which would be don't put anything, just put A, B, and it basically means A and B. So I guess then in total there are four options how to coordinate nouns in late Egyptian. Quite amazing. Cool.
Why is the third word transliterated as res, but it looks like rech?
I think that's a spelling mistake.
Okay, sorry.
Should be rech. No, you're absolutely right. That looks wrong to me. I mean, it becomes a sh later, lesh, or rather simply sh, and it lives on in Coptic as a sh, which is interesting. So, like very often in formations, like not actually very similar to this, not being able to do something has the sh in it as to be able, literally not to know how to do something. So that's like the last vestigial form of that common rech that everybody who studies Egyptian knows, because it's just like all over the place. It does live on in Coptic, but only in that formation. To know how to do something or not know how to do something. So maybe he had that in mind, or maybe he just hit the wrong key. I mean, X is right under S, so.
That's interesting that sound turns into just an SH shin sound, going from like a to a sh. It's kind of, they're both aspirated, but they sound very different at first.
Yeah, that's a good point. So why does that happen? I'm assuming there's, so a lot of chs do that. If you look at what happens to ch in Coptic, for example, cheper or chaper or something like that, to come about, right? Becomes shope in Coptic. So that's one of those cases that has the sh. But there are some other words where it simply becomes ch in Coptic. So those are the two pathways that ch can take, either ch or sh. And what conditions that? You would think that have to be some kind of front vowel to move it more to a sh sound. But then again, how do you get to shope from cheper? I mean, there would have to be some kind of glide in there that's never written, which is kind of weird. So honestly, I'm not enough of a like a historical phonologist to give an answer to that. Why that happens, what conditions that? But you see both of those, depending on the word.
Cool.
That's
interesting. Good to be aware of that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little note. It's definitely a spelling mistake in the transcription, because probably in the translation of the book, because I just checked my paper version and there the transcription says rech.
So
good to know.
That's definitely where the error is, and I have it in French.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Could be the translation.
No problem.
Thanks, Iti.
Somehow, or maybe or the transition to PDF.
Could be as well. And I'm glad I was able to find that PDF. That is nice.
You need more editors who know ancient Egyptian. Copy editors in the world. We should have more copy editors in the world who are familiar with ancient Egyptian. Be a nice thing.
Yeah, I don't want to imagine. That's, by the way, it's little bunny ride. So before desktop publishing and all the good fonts, right? You had to do everything. Well, a lot of people did it with handwritten text, and that's why a lot of Egyptian literature is really hard to parse because you're essentially looking at somebody's handwriting. But the other option, of course, like for example, Gardner, you could have your own font set at enormous expense. I have no idea how much they spend for stuff like that, to basically make Egyptian fonts, then also with the right sizes, so you can stack them up and whatnot. But now imagine some poor soul has to typeset all that, and that person is probably not an Egyptology scholar. So how do you do pages and pages and pages of basically all these little squiggly signs correctly? I don't want to imagine. That must be quite a job. But, well, maybe it's a challenge. Unless there was some Egyptology students were conscripted to make those print editions. I'm just wondering how they did that. But there must have been a lot of work into doing something like Gardner's grammar, for example. Okie doke. What else? What else do we have? Let's go a little bit further. The rest is, those were actually the hardest examples. The rest is a bit easier. So, for example, if we look at some of these phrases that he gives us here, irpajed, as for the saying, ireni panefer. As for the saying that has made, that's again is our whatchamacallit, our relative, eni to me panefer. So that's the good old rule that nominal subjects come after a pronominal dative, or basically any kind of pronominal direct object or indirect object. So basically that could be a little bit confusing here. It's not the saying that I have made, but it's the saying that has made to me, panefer. Well, nothing much to say here. Is there a major grammar point that I missed? The infinitive is periphrased by the relative form iri with subject, which subject denotes the agent of the process. Well, we just had that, right? That was exactly the point from a moment ago. Ger ir pachap I irik gertamid, or midit, I guess, entamaset. As for pachap, the sending literally, or hab very often just stands for writing, like sending somebody by means of letter. In other words, the writing, irek, that you have made, that again is the relative, but it's not the classical one with the N in there, but it's the late Egyptian form with just basically the prosthetic yod in front and the suffix pronoun after it. So irek, there is sending or writing that you have made. Germedit, concerning the matter. Ger in this case means about, concerning the matter. And tamaset, I have no idea what a maset is. I found that it is a part of a ship. TLA has exactly one example sentence, so I'm assuming that's what it is. Of course, we want to think it's a mast, right? No, but I'm kidding. No idea what exactly it is. Something made from wood. But again, the interesting point here is you can use the infinitive, that you stick the agent on there with the relative. Oops. This is so annoying when you are not in full screen mode. Come on. Here we go. And here is the thing with the negation that I mentioned a moment ago. If you want to negate it, you stick tem in front of it. So the coming. Iruk, the coming that you have made. Pa iruk, this coming that you have made. But if you put a tem in between, it becomes pa tem iruk, this not coming that you have made, em tarempe, in this year, or in this year. So basically the fact that you've not come this year makes me really angry. I don't know, but however it goes on, but essentially that's how you can use tem here. Yeah. And then the other option, I'm speeding up a little bit, so forgive me for rushing a bit through this. The other option is to basically stick the the possessive article in front of it. So basically, like for example, her ir paik jed, and as for your saying, basically, and as for what you're saying, those things that you're talking about, I don't believe them, or can you give me more evidence, or whatever could come next. But and as for what you're saying, for the literally, and as for that saying of yours. Okay. This one I forgot what the story is, but let's pass through this one real quick. Ja, ich, remember we had that one before in one of the last sessions. Indeed what, but if you take them together, it really means like, what's up with? Ja, ich beiß. Hers what? Her western. Her like walking around freely, striding around freely. So what about her walking around freely? Pa uja. I think uja we had the other day in Venamun. It means the warehouse or storehouse. The warehouse and per anachujai silip. So her walking around freely in the storehouse of Pharaoh, life, prosperity, health. Emchet set. No, not Emchet, sorry. Chemse. Okay, I get it. So Chem is not to know. In not knowledge, who's not knowledge? Set. That should have plural stroke here. They're not knowledge. So basically what the whole sentence means is, what is it with her walking around freely in the storehouse of Pharaoh, LPH, without them knowing about it? I have no idea what the context is, but I hope the grammar makes some sense. So basically, you could imitate that in English. You could say, what's with her walking about freely in that place? And that her walking about is essentially, we would use a gerund. Egyptian uses an infinitive. And again, there's something, does he gloss that? Let's see. I mean, does he add it? No. Western Pawinja. Interesting. So apparently, Western can take a direct object. Well, we would have to say walking around in or all about or whatever. So it's taking a direct object, namely the storehouse of Pharaoh. Interesting. But yeah, the key grammar point here is basically you can stick the possessive article in front of an infinitive, and that basically is another way how to indicate the agent. And he says that in that case, it's imperfect. It's not perfective. Kind of easy, right? Not really earth-shattering. Okay. Oof, there's a whole bunch more, but that's it. Those are the last ones. What should we do with them? Should we try one more? Should I go really quick about them? I'll take a vote. What do we want to do on this one? We have 5 minutes. Maybe I just
yeah, just go through them just in the interest of time.
You're right, because let's close chapter number 13 in 2023 and then do 14 in 2024. So then we have, I'll just leave the transcription there underneath just to make it easier. So Chespet, what is that? Cheme? I think Cheme, it's Sashef in Coptic, but Safesh in Egyptian because they don't have the metastasis yet. So basically, year 47, somebody lived for a long time. Well, who Ramses II? Because he reigned like forever. So regnal year number 47, up it's now, the month 2 of Peret, season of Peret, Su Jute Diu, so day number 25. Ire in Sechau per Chach. The coming made by the scribe of the house of silver, so some kind of title. Here I'll have to cheat because I know how to say that. Chat Nachti? Yeah, Chat Nacht, okay. Chat Nacht is just a name. Chat Nacht, I guess this belongs to it. So Chat Nacht, okay, cool. So here is how you know where it ends, because there's the personal determinative at the end. Son of somebody, namely Sa of what? Of Sul. Cool. So this year's group writing, and NR at the end of a name becomes L. So name in this case would be Sul. Literally sooner, but this is just a way how to spell that final L consonant from the New Kingdom onwards. Before that, they would just have written R. So Sul, and then they also gives his mother, Mutev Tawosret. So basically, if we're talking about the coming made by the scribe of the house of silver, Chatnecht, son of Sul, and his mother is Tawosret. So now we know who it is. Is Watwet, so Jai Her imentet Mennefer. Okay, this one I have to cheat. What is Swatwet? Yeah, what is Swatwet? To walk around is a Jaicher, to enjoy himself. I don't know either of these two words. Her imentet Mennefer. So upon the west of Memphis. Mennefer is Memphis. It's actually the same word, just modernized in Greek pronunciation. Okay, what's the grammar point? Again, what we just talked about, namely infinitive plus irien, relative. The rest is just regular grammar. And then to indicate the purpose. So I come to here would be the sochem, to hear. And so same thing here. Watwet, to walk around, basically. So yeah, I think it's the main thing here. Yeah, a few more sentences of purpose. Yutu dit rech. No, rech? Ja, rech. Rech naf anach. En nip what? Oh, that's just, I guess, life, health, prosperity again, abbreviated. So that would be the same thing as this. Anach ujai senep. So basically, en nip anach ujai senep. The senep is still visible as the S. The other ones are abbreviated to a stroke because you write it all the time. Ertem ak goed nature. So let's start at the end. Ertem ak goed nature. To not enter into the temple. Ak is enter. Gut nature is the temple. You negate that with tem because it's an infinitive. And I think that's the point he's trying to make, that you're using plus the infinitive here to indicate a purpose. The whole thing says, and one gave. That's interesting. Here it says rech, to know. It's not a transcription. One made him know an oath, or if the rech is really not there. I don't know. Is that in the French version? E.T.? The rech? Did they mess it up?
Give me a second. 14, right?
13. Last page.
13, sorry. Yes, there we are. It's an F. No, it's not. They messed that up.
Is that
probably because because you have the same thing in the next one. That's why I got them mixed up for a second, because in the next one you also have dit rech. Or there you actually have dit rech. So my guess is somebody got the lines a bit confused.
I think you're right. So it's basically not even in the original text then, presumably. Okay.
Probably not.
Okay, so then that makes way more sense then. One gave to him an oath. In other words, I guess there would be one I don't want to say one made him swear, because then that should be dit anachef. Have to look into that. Onech is life, of course, but and it becomes onch in Coptic. But then there's also anash, which is an oath. And I'm not sure if that's because you have expressions like so that so-and-so God lives, or somebody else lives, this and this shall happen, or if it's just coincidental. I'm not sure, but they're spelled the same way. So basically, one gave to him an oath of the Lord, life, health, life, prosperity, health, not to enter the temple, basically. I think the grammar point here being the not to enter the temple. And
actually asked that question to an Egyptologist. So apparently the oath, the Ankh sign, as you all know, is a sandal strap, but they also use that same kind of configuration to bind people or to tie you up. So when you take an oath, you're being bound to something.
Oh, where's that coming from with the tie up? That sounds interesting. Never heard it.
Yeah, no, and right. So it was kind of one of those conversational things where I was talking with her, and that's kind of the way, how Ankh can be life and also it can be oath, because when you take an oath, you swear to something or you're bound to it.
I see.
So if you look at that top part, that noose part can go around your neck. So that same kind of thing was used to bind people with or to tie people up.
I wonder if that's
besides being a sandal strap.
I wonder if that's attested anywhere or if that's like a more modern reinterpretation. I really don't know.
Would it be the same word?
I mean, if you look in, I think it's not Vegas, but if you look in, I forgot which dictionary it is, but it does give you text where they use the word, as life, and they use it as oath, and they use it as to bind something, to tie something up.
Oh, cool! I'll check that out.
What dictionary is that?
It's really fascinating.
Go again?
It's the online dictionary. I'm sorry, I was trying to remember the name of the dictionary.
I have to hop over to the
Faulkner's dictionary. Yeah, look in Faulkner's dictionary, the online dictionary, and then you put in Ankh, and then look at, you have time, look at the places where it's used at.
And also, Anash is Coptic for oath, and we were discussing earlier about this sound change from the h going to a sh.
You're right.
Anna.
Think of
yeah, full circle. That's awesome.
Always could mean it just happens to be the same consonant, so they use the same sign, and there's absolutely no connection with, and the connection with the meaning is a modern interpretation. That's a bit. Absolutely. I think that's always a bit hard to know which one of these it is.
Or it could be a homophone.
The Coptic is just really what they heard written down, isn't it?
Mm. What's Coptic for life or live? Do you know that?
Onech. Same thing.
Onech. Okay. So Anash, Onech. So maybe at the time they were the same safe vowels.
This is what you mean, right?
Yes.
No, down there, swear. You were on the no, two further down. There's swear.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
That's swear oath. I think that's what he means.
Yeah.
I think the captive is probably more because you can't be taken captive if you're not alive, or at least the dictionary. Another dictionary always glosses it as living captive.
Oh, I see what you're saying, as opposed to the ones that got the I want to say the X treatment, but it's not an X, it's a club. That got the club treatment. Okay.
Or rather, they didn't.
That's a good point. Interesting. I have no idea. Fascinating, though. Cool.
I think there's also something with Tutankhamun's sandals have two captives depicted on them, and I forget if they're bound to an Ankh or not. I need to check that, but they're definitely bound to each other. And their bow symbolizing enemies determinatives on them, but I forget if there's an Ankh depicted there as well. That might be something to double check.
So that he can step on his enemies, literally.
Exactly. He can literally step on them, right? Yeah.
That was one idea. Yeah, you're right. Well, just to finish this up real quick, the other two, so Neni is something like to be weary or to be neglectful. It's a lot in letters like don't be neglectful to do something. Don't be neglectful, icha, to take. Icha naf mau, to take to him water. So here it's with another preposition, not with R, but with M. And what do we have here? Ergit rechtu patiu. We had that a moment ago. I don't see the preposition here, really. A bit lost what the point here was. Her. Oh, is there like a missing her in there? Not really. Sorry, this one I don't get what the grammar point was in this one. Maybe the he just means erdit, which is misspelled here with a ch, I guess. I'm a bit confused by this. Here we go. That makes me, double R and then one R is misspelled as a ch, because in hieratic they often look the same. And if you're like an extra dot, it becomes a ch. So I think he's just basically the to give to know that he's trying to point out here, that you can use infinitives freely with some of the prepositions like ar, and Okay. All right. I think we conquered chapter 13. Let's see how we want to go on with 14 next time. Feel free to send me a message. Let me know how we want to go about that. Open for all sorts of formats, so I can also look up some example sentences, and we do it like in the past. Let me know, like offline, what you think is best. What's the most engaging format? And with that being said, I would say let's close for this year.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, thanks all. I mean, we're a year in. We started that in January 2023. I think we can go faster now because the idea was to do everything like from scratch. So there was some preliminaries in the beginning, but I think now we essentially can zoom through the book more quickly. Get the full benefit. At least that would be my vision.
On the sandals thing, I've just sent something else contradicting that. Some have thought it was sandals. This is the anchor. And I put something in the Discord chat about it.
Oh, in the Discord chat, you said. Okay.
Yeah, they think people don't really think it's the sandals, but if you read Discord later, we'll find out more about it.
Cool. Well, see you all on Discord.
Sounds good.
Have a great Sunday.
Happy holidays, everyone.
So we meet again in 4 weeks.
What do you think?
I would propose.
Good question.
Oh, damn. Technically, Seth would be first, right? So that would be.
I mean, if you keep to the we would normally be on again on the 30th of December, but I gather you don't want to do that.
You got it. That's right. I think too many people will be traveling, including myself. So
then the question is, will we be on the 6th, or will you keep the rotation with Seth and we'll be on the 13th?
I would propose we keep the rotation, just so that. So I would say 13th.
We send around a homework?
I have a lot of time to prepare, so I might. I'll do my best. All right, guys. Happy holidays.
Nobody has time, and there's 2 weeks of nothing to do because my holiday's over. So
true.
I'd happily do a homework.
Okay, I'll pick up something.
Cool. Well,
thank you.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, guys.
See you all in the new year.
Bye.
Thanks.